fans, I'm not even going to attempt to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you a white lie. I'm not going to tell you a partial lie. The truth is, this was likely the worst season y'all will have in the last 5 years.
Shut up the Bills! It's not outside! It's not outside! Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, yeah. Reppin' the mafia Bills, mafia, yeah. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Homie, now listen, everyone play their position. Buffalo got a tradition. They say we tripping, they better get out our way. Top of the table, we flipping. We on a mission. Got an unstoppable team. Continue to follow your dream by any means. Buffalo, get in the Super Bowl ring. Cause we the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, yeah. Reppin' the mafia Bills, mafia, yeah. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Mafia up in your city, time to get gritty. Screaming and yelling, we bugging. Look at the red and blue.
This is an MVP year for Josh Allen. As an MVP voter, I said this last week. Josh Allen, he looks like an MVP. When you vote for MVP, and I can speak for myself, I think I'm one of 50 voters, you look at a couple things. Who's the best team in football? Who's the best player on that team in football? What do they look like as the best player on that team in football? And how much talent is around that best player on that best team in football?
Cause we the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, we the Buffalo.
And a good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Coast to Coast podcast as we get set up here on the first podcast of 2026. Do not mind me as I try to get set up here this new year. And we got all kinds of issues going on with the board here. So please cooperate with me. I certainly apologize. My name is Beyond716. You'll see we do not have Whittle here tonight. Unfortunately, Whittle, but I shouldn't say unfortunately, won't be able to join us, but he has a family engagement, which is great, and we wish him the best on that. And you never know if Whittle can make an appearance at some point. We are expected to be joined by Jarek, who is better known as Jam Sports here on your Twitter feeds. He's an excellent co-host. He's come in before. We figured we would just get started here as we get ready for the playoffs. So welcome to 2026, folks. Can you believe it? I mean, it's unbelievable that we have made it this far already in the year, that another football season is over at this point. So again, if you're here in the comments, I want to hear from you. We want to hear what you have to say about the Bills. What we're going to do is we're going to wrap up the 2025 season, and we did it in style. Potentially, probably the last game we'll ever see at Highmark Stadium coming up. We're hoping that we still get another matchup coming up, hopefully in the AFC title game. We'll get into those scenarios as we go forward. But looks like that was the last game at Highmark. We'll get into the emotions about that. Maybe I'll share just a couple of quick stories of my time at Highmark over 53 years. I know a lot of you have some kind of memory of that great place. And I'm just going to tell you right off the bat, folks, it's never going to be the same. You know, the new stadium is going to be awesome. And it's going to be certainly something to certainly behold in that scenario. You're gonna feel the beauty of the new stadium. You certainly are. But I will tell you that it is not going to be the same in any scenario. It's not going to feel like Highmark Stadium. It's not going to have that intimacy feel. I know they talk about you being closer at the new stadium, but you only have 65,000 at the new stadium. If you go back and listen to some old recordings of some of the old games, even in the 90s, they were rocking 80,000 plus in the stadium. And there is just a distinct little sound that you could hear that's a little bit different than what you could currently hear in the new stadium. New stadium rocks as well, but missing 8,000 people, that's a lot. So you'll certainly feel it for sure in that case. But there's going to be a lot of beautiful things going on in that scenario. And I certainly apologize for my screen here. I'll try to get this fixed along the way. So thanks, Patrick, for reposting the stream. If you're out there, please give us a repost. Give me a follow, please, as well. I'm going to put up my new Twitter account because the old one was compromised. Let's not get into it in that case. But anyway, that's my new account. Please give me a follow there if you can. So again, we're going to get started here, but I'm going to bring up our guest here once he's ready, once I get the green light. So we'll certainly do that. And again, we're off to a flying start with technical difficulties on this 2026. So we got lots to talk about. Again, last game against the Jets. We'll talk about the injuries coming up this week for the showdown in Jacksonville, as the Bills are your 6th seed in the AFC. It is not the path we originally thought going into this season, especially the way we started out at 4-0. This year, we figured we're playing for the 1 at that point, but yet here we are. And it's the cards we're dealt with, and we're just going to have to deal with it. So we're going to certainly get into that. But I'm going to bring up the one and only Jarek or Jan Sports here. I am going to bring you on stage. Let me know. There you are. How you doing? There we go. Now we're on the screen. Not much. Thanks for joining us on short notice. I appreciate it, man. As always.
No. Yeah, no problem. I had to wrap up there, but yeah, I'm here.
Nice. Yeah, always busy, right? Always moving, always talking football. And you're one of my favorite people to talk to in the spaces every single time. You always bring it. So we're happy that you're on with us here. So how are we feeling? I've had to take an overall temperature now.
A little nervous. I'm not gonna lie to you. Because I don't know how this game is gonna go. I really don't know how this is game. Jacksonville was weird. After I watched like 4 games of them, they're just weird because they shouldn't be as good as if you look at them statistically, they shouldn't be as good as what they displayed on film. But at the same time, though, they're just they're just. I mean, all the playoff teams are well coached teams, like all of them. Like you don't get as far to this point of the season without you being a good football team. So Jacksonville's good, but they're not star-studded.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Kind of similar to us. Like they're not star-studded. They're not, they're just good. The biggest strength for them is their receiving game. Like by far is their biggest strength of their team. They got a lot of depth at receiver. They have guys that can stretch you out vertically. They have guys that can kill you at short intermediate route trees. They have guys that for all different type of route concepts or different route concepts or route combinations, these are guys that can pull it off. So that is by far their biggest strength. But then you flip it over defensively, and it's like they should not be as good as what they actually are. They shouldn't be, but they are statistically speaking. And so whether we want to blame that on the lack of competition, that they played or not, they're here. And so looking at us and just dealing with the type of adversity that we've gone through, we should honestly blow this team out. But at the same time, how many conversations have we had where it's like Buffalo should do it, but then something has happened, whether it's schematically or whether, whatever the case of the situation is, it ends up being way closer than what athletes, way closer than we expected, or we end up on the losing end of things. So it's interesting, man. Jacksonville is a tough place to play. The weather keeps changing. I don't know if it's going to be, last week they said it was going to be raining in 60 degrees. This week it's supposed to be clear and sunny. And so it's all weird. Everything just screams about this game to me, just screams that it's just weird. And so we'll see what happens. But we all know the one thing, a thing that I think we both can agree on is that if Buffalo's focused and they go into this game, they're mistake-free, Buffalo beats any team in the National Football League. And so we'll see what happens. But, Jacksonville, this is probably one of the most dangerous teams that we possibly could play right now in the playoffs. Right now, this team.
I agree. And you said a lot of interesting points there. in particular. I mean, the Bills are 11-0 when they do not lose the turnover battle this year.
Right.
That's one thing. The Buffalo Bills usually beat the Buffalo Bills is one of the primary reasons. Not to take anything away from teams that beat us, but our faults and mistakes and miscues and inconsistencies do tend to lead to our losses. You're right. This is a weird game because who would have thought at any point this year, oh, we're going to Jacksonville to start our run for the Super Bowl. Nobody had that on their bingo card. Not a single person. So from that point of view, and Jacksonville's blazing hot into the playoffs. They've won 8 straight. Mm-hmm. Yes, they haven't beaten the best teams in the world, but they did lay 34 at Denver, which was pretty impressive. Not an easy place to win. Good, excellent defense. So that kind of got my eyebrows up when I saw it. I said, interesting. Very, very impressive win on the road for the Jags. I mean, has Trevor Lawrence taken that next step? That's what we don't know, right? I mean, we've been kind of waiting for Trevor Lawrence to see if he can become that, quote, prodigy he was supposed to be coming out of Clemson, number 1 overall. He was supposed to be a generational quarterback, right? And we just haven't really seen it. It looks like their coach, I believe his name is Liam. What's his last name? Liam Cohen. Seems like he's really worked on him, especially his footwork's a lot better now. Things like that. You can really see differences in his game that he's certainly done. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you. I feel like, too, one of the biggest things going into this, and I feel as a fan, and I'm not sure if any of you, if you feel it, I don't think we've ever seen more pressure on a 6 seed ever in the history of the playoffs than this year. Right. It's usually a 2 or 1, right? Or you're like, oh, you got to win it. But the Buffalo Bills have this is a tremendous pressure game for this whole organization. Because you imagine the mood in the spaces on Monday, Jarek, if we fire up those spaces on Monday morning and we lose this game.
I'm at post game wise, it's gonna be 10,000 people in that space.
Yeah, 10 it's gonna it may break Twitter. I mean, it may break their servers, but there's gonna be so many people in there, but we're gonna be the ones that have a lot of the questions too. It's not just the trolls, it's not just the haters of the Bills that we know. It's gonna be us, right? I mean, even Leishon, and we talked to Whittle, of course. Like some heads are gonna have to roll and I'm going to bring up some of the comments in here. So there's a couple of great comments in here. Dave has something good here too. It only took Joe Brady 18 weeks to get Josh to realize he's passing up easy yards. Yeah, that's something I want to talk about too. Mm-hmm. Did you like that he said that publicly? Does that? Yeah, I almost wish they didn't say that publicly, but I get what they're trying to do. It's almost like, hey, they're telling Jacksonville, we're going to take the easy stuff, or you don't worry about that too much. Right.
Yeah. Because, I mean, we know because we've seen it and we've talked about it and we've evaluated it. But for Josh Josh probably knows too. But I think he's just trying to motivate Josh. I think he's just trying to get him going. I don't think Josh really needed the motivation, but in terms of just kind of maybe a self-evaluation period, I think, again, having him kind of watch back games, if Josh wasn't doing that already, I mean, listen, I understand the intent. It looks like it may have worked. I'm glad Josh said the things that he said, but this is one of those things where it's like, Josh, you didn't know that you were not supposed to take the check down. I'm like, I doubt that he didn't know that he was that he rewatched the film and asked himself, was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. Maybe it was just kind of more the point of saying, I made way too many mistakes than I've done in the past, and I've kind of regressed. I think I hate to say that he's regressed. He has. Yeah. Doesn't mean that he can't get back to the point. Doesn't mean that he can't get back to focus, because playoff Josh is better than regular season Josh. But compared to what he was last season, which was his MVP season, we can say yes, statistically, that he was similar. But if we actually kind of go out and watch them play, there's no excuse for the type of games that Josh Allen has had. He knows better. It's like year 8? He's 29 years of age. He's going to be 30.
Yeah.
There's just no excuse for it. And so I'm glad that Josh was able to say that, yeah, I should have took the check down, or I should have took this 2 to 3 yard pass instead of my eyes going down the field trying to look for the big plays. Because he's going to have to do that against Jacksonville. He's going to have to do that in pretty much in every single game. You cannot make mistakes. Because granted, absolutely, even though we can sit up here and say he didn't lose us the game against Kansas City 2 years in a row, what we can tell you is that Josh Allen in those first halves made a lot of mistakes, where if he simply would just take a lot of the more simplistic things in front of him, that these games maybe couldn't have come down to the wire. It's the biggest thing with Lamar Jackson in terms of Lamar Jackson didn't play well in the first half, missed a lot on the easier throws, and then the second half comes, he's all world, but they still lose. And yet Ravens fans want to blame the coach. They blame everyone else but Lamar, because even though Lamar made a play in order for them to probably win it, What did he do they would not give him the same sort of criticism that he had in the first half. They should, but they don't. And Bills fans have kind of been, some Bills fans have said it, some Bills fans have not. But you know, Josh, I'm not saying he has to play perfect but he's going to have to damn near play close to it for these playoffs. He's going to have to, because there's things within our football team that his play, himself, he's going to have to overly compensate just based off of some of these weaknesses. And so, listen, he's going to make mistakes. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. But the question is not just the crucial mistakes can he limit the mistakes that he should have capitalized? And I think those are the things that, in a sense, you can make an argument has been holding Josh Allen, has been holding Buffalo back a little bit of time in these playoffs, despite the wonderful numbers, despite the fact that he's put up a Hall of Fame resume alone throughout his playoff career. It's the little tiny things that we talk about every single year that has cost Buffalo for them to advance and make it to a championship game. And Josh Allen is a part of that problem.
100%. I mean, last year we needed probably a B or at least a B performance, or B plus out of Josh to beat Kansas City last year. We only got a C plus in that game. And it wasn't enough. Like you said early on, remember he was overthrowing, just missing some guys, and maybe the lack of not having Mahomes and Reed and all those giants on the other side of the field will help psychologically. That now we're the team with the experience, we're the team with with the coaching staff that's been here a long time. We'll see how that manifests itself. But I agree, it's just the little things I need to see Josh clean up. And there's factions of his fan base that are just afraid to critique number 17. And we love 17. I mean, 17 is amazing. He's arguably the most talented player this franchise has ever seen, ever in any position. But it's okay to critique him at times. This is what he's paid to do, and he knows it. And I know he knows it deep down. And as he moves to the second half of his career, he's got to work on those little things, right, Jarek? I mean, you look at Aaron Rodgers at 42. Aaron Rodgers is not getting by with his physical skills right now. He's getting it here. I'm very impressed with him. Josh can be that guy too if he plays his cards right, if he takes care of his body, if he avoids big hits and big injuries. He could be excellent at 40. I mean, there's no reason to believe with his God-given abilities with his arm, his release, quick release, and everything. And so that's where I believe even Tom Brady's been kind of getting to him on that when he's met with him. He's like, hey, Josh, he needs to take those next steps. He can't just rely on his incredible physical abilities. He's got to take, the little nuances of the game. So like you said, sometimes it's nice to hear those comments he said today, but at the same time, I'm like, hey, you've been in the league 9 years. Those kind of things should be kind of clicking at this point, you would think, right? But I guess it's still always an ongoing learning process, right? For Josh. So, and you're right about that regression, and there's reasons for that. Some of it's our wide receiving room just hasn't stepped up the way it has. I mean, when we don't, Curtis Samuel's been a major disappointment. Josh Palmer's been a major disappointment. Unfortunately, those guys.
$60 million.
Yeah, that's, and at the time they were decent signings, but they were risks, and we all knew, and that falls on Brandon Beane. And we love Brandon Beane, but Brandon Beane has had some misses lately. Let's be fair. So, and Steve's right. JA-17 becomes a beast, and he's got 32 total touchdowns, and 4 picks in the playoffs. He's 7-6 in those games, Derek.
Crazy.
That's crazy, right? So, but even though, yes, you're right, the numbers are gaudy, it's just those little extra things. We can't have those little mistakes from Josh. And of course, the other big thing is that we need our defense to step up, and that's our calling card of our coach. And sometimes that's been our downfall. So how do you feel about our defense in this game going forward against Jacksonville? Steve also said something about Taron Johnson. He's a key here because the Jags have a solid slot guy. I think that's a great point.
As two guys that they utilize in the slot that's gonna test them if we get into man-on-man situations.
Yeah.
Honestly, again, I could see Buffalo playing a lot of zone and playing a lot of too high because they want to respect Jacksonville. Right, these are guys that they're not afraid to take shots. They will take shots early. Sometimes they won't even try to hide the fact that they're willing to take a shot. They'll show it right off the gate, and you can make your adjustments, and you can rotate your safeties. You can try to do a lot of pre-snap alignment. You can try to disguise a lot of your looks. They don't care. They'll just take shots. And so, They got it. That's what we talked about earlier. The depth that they have at receiver, and they got guys that can kill you with short intermediate routes. They have guys that can kill you with deep vertical shots. They have all the 3 to 4 levels they have on that team.
Yep.
Not even including Travis Etienne, because he's also a very underrated receiving back in the league that they utilize kind of more as a swing out sort of player. But listen, Jacksonville, for what I expect they're going to do, they're going to run a lot of play action. They're one of the most heaviest play action teams in the league. Of course, they're going to run out a lot of base, but for the most part, they're going to they're going to be doing a lot of play action. They'll try to set some things up. They'll take deep shots. Sometimes they'll kind of fake the play action to something else. They do run a little bit. They do have some RPO integrations within their scheme, but for the most part, this is it's a team that can beat you within all 3 levels. The capability to do it consistently. And so I think Buffalo's secondary. I think the one thing that you can say is a strength, because you have the experience back there that's not going to be full of anything that this offense is going to see. But at the same time, you kind of question the fact that we don't have a lot of that speed because Maxwell Harrison's gone. He's week to week. He's that not only can he miss this week, but he's probably going to miss next week as well, which maybe he could be back for the AFC Championship game. Like, that's week to week. It sucks because that's that speed that you want to have on the field. But Trey White's played well. But what does Trey White struggle with? He struggled with speed. As good as he played, he struggled with speed. He struggled with kind of bigger, taller, more physical type of receivers that can test him at the contested catch point. Jacksonville's got both. And so that's kind of one of the concerns there as well. Also, too, Jordan Poyer is not the fastest player in the world. You got Jordan, yes, you have Darnell Savage who can come in there and he can start to play low and he can bring that physicality and athleticism that maybe Jordan Poyer doesn't have. Also, Jordan Hancock's the same, but it's just it's a little worrisome because Sean McDermott, what has gotten us to this point is that we've become a little bit more aggressive. We're not afraid to start stacking the box and start kind of playing a little bit more in there. We've become a lot more aggressive with our even pre-snap alignments, showing a lot more mugs with our linebackers in the A gap, showing the fact that we're willing to get 5, 6, 7 guys in there. The fact that we're running a lot more fire zone, disguising our corner blitzes from the outside, just kind of creating a lot more exotic style, becoming a little more aggressive. I don't want to go back to Babbage style where we're just playing nothing but zone, edge containment because we respect the quarterback's legs a little bit too much. And we're just playing a lot more off-man coverage. I don't want to go back to playing that style, but you may actually have to against this team simply because of respect. Of course, you can make adjustments, and depending on how the swing of the game goes, you can, how the feel of the game goes, you can say, okay, we don't respect this team anymore, or maybe we need to start showing it. I don't know the situation, what's going to happen, but it's interesting because Jacksonville has answers to what Buffalo loves to do with their team. If this was the Houston Texans, I think Buffalo plays this game a little bit more aggressive because Houston's offensive line is not the strongest. Not to mention, too, when they tried to rush with base 4, they didn't really win a lot. So Buffalo had no choice but to try to go out there and utilize a lot more pressure and become a lot more aggressive in the second half. Jacksonville can protect the quarterback, but Jacksonville also has threats. And so when you have 2 and 2 in hand together, it's just hard for you to start, it's hard for you to start going there and start playing with heavier boxes because you're going to start playing a lot more flight, and we're probably running a lot more nickel compared to us running a little bit more of the up-tempo when we were starting to run with 3 linebacker sets. So it's interesting to see what we'll do. But, hey, I mean, I've said this before. If Buffalo gets a feel on Jacksonville and they feel like, okay, we don't really respect this team. We know we can start. We know we can be aggressive. We got the feel of this team. Then it's over. Because I think that Jordan Poyer back there with the experience, Tre'Davious White back there with the experience, there's guys back there. They're not going to be fooled with anything Jacksonville's going to try to run in order to try to scheme these guys open. And so that's the benefit that you have. Now that you have that, now if you have that confidence that you can build upon that confidence throughout the game, done. Yeah. Because Trevor Lawrence, the one thing that I do question with Trevor Lawrence is, what does he look like in the playoff moments when teams figure him out? If teams start to figure out, and now all of a sudden, instead of playing edge containment, we're asking our guys pin your ear backs and go. We're asking our three tap gap or our 1 gap players to just shoot the gap, start slanting, start crossing, and start running some more exotic stunts, some TE stunts, some TE stunts, some ET stunts. Now we're starting to run a lot more exotic and asking our guys to pin back and starting to create a lot more pressure, a lot more kind of design, kind of creative pressure. when teams are doing that, they're doing that because they have a lack of respect for the quarterback and they have a lack of respect for your receiving game because they're confident that their game plan is translating on the field. And so we'll see if Buffalo's going to play a little bit more steady back, or if they're just going to come out with aggression, or maybe the aggression happens on the later courts throughout the game. But I think if Buffalo does that and they start to be a lot more successful at it, Buffalo, I think that's a huge advantage. And that's a huge, huge advantage. And that's something that, quite honestly, in these playoffs throughout the history in the first round, that's what Buffalo typically does. They figure out, it may take a little bit of time, but once they do, they got you. And then the offense goes on the field and they start to kind of constrict you to death. And that's how we're blowing teams out all the damn time throughout these wild card rounds.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that's big in this kind of game. You have a team that's coming in that's won 8 straight. They're hot, right? They're getting out the big leads. They're winning. I think they're winning games by average of 19 points, I believe.
They're blowing teams out, man.
They're blowing teams out. So I think it's, we usually get off to slow starts, right? You brought up a good point. I feel like the first drive, it's almost like I expect the other team to score because I feel like it takes us time to adjust, right? And then once we do, but I think in this game, I really want to get the ball first. I want the Bills to get the ball first, go down and get the 7-0 lead. And in terms of Lawrence, we got to get some pressure on him. We have to get him a little uncomfortable in that pocket. Do you think that we're going to? We had a couple questions about spying. Do you think we're going to spy him a lot in this game? Because he can run, like you said, about respecting the team that we're playing. So we had a couple questions about that.
I can see it.
Do you think we'll do that quite a bit?
I don't think we'll do it, but I can absolutely see us doing it because you got to respect Lawrence's legs. You got to respect his legs. That's why I'm not too sure if they're going to ask these guys to pin their ear backs and just go, because Lawrence can escape the pocket. And not to mention too, we have not been the best at containing the edge. So if you send Greg Rousseau more of if you send him more on the inside, let's just say you're just trying to slant him to the inside, and maybe you're trying to create some sort of pressure, maybe a loop. That could be a different story where you cause some interior pressure and there's somebody on the outside that's looping around that acts as the kind of the contained guy. Now Lawrence can break it off. He's got speed that even if you do that, he can still break it off just because of his speed. But I'm just curious if they're gonna play a lot more edge containment, because in my opinion, that is the worst strategy to do against the quarterback, especially when you're not a great base 4 team anyway at rushing the quarterback. You're just not. Mm-hmm. Yes, you have Deion Walker, but then yes, you have Deion Walker. Yes, Fedarian Mathis has become a lot better. TJ Sanders had a sack last week against the Jets. You may like that, but you don't have Ed Oliver. Ed Oliver is by far your best 3-tech penetrating defensive tackle that playing that particular style is the best at. Everyone else besides Deion Walker starts to become a detriment. Daquan Jones has regressed. Hate to say it, regressed. None of these other guys, Fedarian Mathis, trust me, that's my guy. Shout out to Roll Tide. Fedarian Mathis has become more of a better run defender than I think he is as a straight pass.
Very solid.
Even though that he's very athletic, very, very athletic, can cross your face, can absolutely get skinny. He can shoot the gap. They can shoot the gap. He's got that explosiveness off the line. He's got that athleticism, but he's been better as a run defender than he is as a pass rusher. And then you look at your outside guys. Yes, you have Joey Bosa, and yes, you have Greg Rousseau. Rousseau can do it better than anybody. Bosa, on the other hand, it's kind of like sometimes you may ask him to do it, and then he'll still pin his ears back and go anyway, and he'll lose contain. Hence the Patriots game where freaking Drake May is just scrambling all the goddamn time out to the outside. But yeah, I can see it. If you're going to add a spy, then hopefully if you're going to add a spy, you're just going to be asking these guys to become a little bit more creative and hopefully get you got to create some sort of pressure. We're not a great front four in terms of creating pressure. A lot of our pressure comes by design, sending blitzes, exotic blitzes, and different step variations. So I could absolutely see that with maybe not Milano, because Milano, believe it or not, has been our best blitzing linebacker. But maybe you do that with the Shaq Thompson, maybe Dorian Williams, who every time he comes out there, they've sent him as a pass rusher. And he's been effective as a disruptor. You got to figure out ways to just kind of go out there, create pressure, force Lawrence to kind of go to the outside, and just kind of play your game. You cannot play into his game. You got to find a way to play him into your game. And so sometimes I think the best way to do that is just by creative design pressure instead of just playing that edge kind of contain that we've done with Bobby Babbage.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's I mean, now I wanted to ask you a little bit too, because we did have an injury. Jordan Phillips' season is over, unfortunately. He is on IR. I mean, impact on that on the defensive line, big deal. That not too much. You're not too worried about
I'm
that
not.
in the grand scheme.
I'm not worried. No, Jordan Phillips is a pass rusher. He does bring something, but everything else is just no. He does not play the run very well. He does not play gap contain. He is just a straight up, he's a straight up one gap penetrating defensive tackle at 340 pounds, which he shouldn't be because he should be a lot more powerful and play a lot more bigger and stronger than he does.
Yeah.
But,
there are times you watch him. It's like I can't believe he gets manhandled the way he does, considering how big
it's like,
he is,
dude,
right?
you're too big to be getting manhandled like that. But it's just the way that it is. I think you got the guys on the roster that can do it. I would prefer T.J. Sanders. I prefer Fedarian Mathis. I prefer a Larry Ogunjobi. I think Larry Ogunjobi. This is what you pay. Why did you pay Larry Ogunjobi $8 million for? To get after the quarterback. So
that's what we're going to need that in spades this Sunday, I believe, in terms of that. So, in the end, we give him exotic looks. A little bit about the injuries, just to kind of go through that really quickly. I did have this tweet, just when we came out a little bit before, from Rappaport, that Allen's foot is as healthy as it's been in a while. So that was nice to hear. So that was encouraging in that case. So we've been seeing that on this injury report lately, as you can tell. Allen's is out. Unfortunately, they said that Maxwell Harrison injury, and that hurt last week. I mean, to see him in that game at 35-0, and then
happens every year, Beyond. Happens every year with this team.
Yep, it's just, and but I'll tell you what, looks like Kincaid's going to be a go. He's limited, right? We did have a little illness with Milano, and everybody's sick now around the country, around the world. It feels like, so hopefully we're going to avoid that. Yep. Yeah, it's really bad, and we had it here for a week solid. So Matt Prater, do you think he gives it a go this Sunday? I see he's on the injury report as well. Do you think we have him as our kicker? That could be a big thing in this game. Or do you think we elevate the kicker we signed on the practice squad? And also another name here I saw, which was interesting, was Ty Johnson with the ankle. That's something in particular that I am a little concerned about in that case, just to see him on that list, but just wanted to get your thoughts on that. And we may have a special guest behind the scenes here that I'm starting to see. So we'll get to that in a quick second. So gonna bring that up here as well.
No, I think they're gonna get the free agent kicker. I think they're just gonna elevate him. I know Kevin showed a stat saying that he actually had a really, really good field goal and extra point percentage before he was kind of let go of. And so I think they'll kind of elevate him. Prater's 41 years of age, coming off of a quad injury. I mean, we thought he was good to go, and then he just re-injured it. So I just don't think you need to rush him. I don't think you need to put him necessarily on IR, but you need to see what he continues to look like as he kicks, right? I know he said he was going to test it tomorrow, and depending on how he feels tomorrow, that's when he'll give it a go or not. But listen, you don't play around. Like, this is the playoffs. You get the best guy that's available. And the best guy I think right now is available is the guy that we signed off of the streets. And I know it may suck. Prater's had a really good season for this team, especially concerning his, pertaining his circumstances. But give me the best guy that's available. And if the Bills are confident in this guy that he can go out there and at least, I just want him to make extra points and 20-something, 30, 40-yard field goals. I'm confident in that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Thankfully, we're not going to outkick Cam Little, right? Cam Little's a different point. Obviously, there may be a situation where you may need a 51, 52, 50-yard field goal, but I would rather trust the younger guy that we picked up over a 41-year-old that's been dealing with the quad injury now for weeks. Because what if he re-injures the quad? Now you're out of a kicker for the game. Just give me the help.
That is true. Yeah, we don't want Ray Davis trying to kick 45-yard field goals in this game.
And I've seen him do it during warm-up, and it has not looked pretty.
No.
Not
No, we definitely don't want that. So I did see Whittle pop up down below, so he may be joining us in a bit. So we'll see if he comes back here.
Right.
But yeah, so the injury report, the one thing I'll say, last couple of years, Derek, we've had issues. Of course, they've been well documented. The Kansas City year, where our entire linebacking corp is out. We had the call. Why is his name escaping? The guy was going to the Keys. He was going down the Keys for vacation. AJ Klein, right? We had to get him back. I mean, it was just so hard, and we had the snowstorms, and we had so weird, and so we've had so many things going on each and every year that again, we don't like to be excuse makers, but there are some injuries, and injury groups that happen to groups. It's one thing if you're missing one guy, like we're missing Ed Oliver. We should be able to handle that like it does hurt, but I'm not gonna say on Monday morning if we lose this game, oh, Ed Oliver is the only reason we lost, right? Or Maxwell Harris is the only reason we lost. Like we can overcome those injuries as hard as they are, and as frustrating as it was to see Max go down, especially with Jacoby Myers in this game, in particular, right? So, and even Steve said, is McD a huge Jacoby fan, or is he getting really good at throwing shade? That's for you to decide, right? I mean, I had the same look as you when I heard his comments. Like, I said that was pretty interesting that McDermott has mentioned it multiple times. I don't know if you have the same feeling on that, but I thought that was kind of
he took a shot. He absolutely took it. I think he took a little bit of a jab at me. Listen, he's been doing that he's been a little snarky. When it comes to him being. Listen, I don't think it's. I know a lot of people are saying that it's a big. I don't think it's a big deal. Like, it's just one of those situations where it's like, yeah, I kind of wish I had on this roster, and I wish we did a little bit too much, but it is what it is, right? Jacoby Myers is a great player, but even I'll even say this: I'm not paying Jacoby Myers $60 million. I'm just not doing it. That's insane. $20 million a year for his contract is insane. And it's just it is what it is. So I thought it was a little light jab, jab, but no, I don't think it's that serious. I just thought it was just one of those situations where it was like, yeah, I kind of wish I had this dude on my team.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's you never know. Maybe he is setting it up for that. In that case, so did you agree with this comment here? Is Jude on his wash as he looked on Sunday?
Wash, yeah, get him out. Yeah, he's done.
Yeah. It's not a terrible experiment. I mean, I don't mind when Brandon Beane takes shots, but yeah, I think he's heck of a career. But yeah, I think he's definitely at the end of the line, for sure. So, and Steve had some good comments about the Jaguars' defensive stats. They may be a little bit skewed. Yes, they played 8-9 backups. I mean, there's been a lot of backups in the league too. I mean, but the one thing, a statement of a good team is how they win too, right? And the fact that they're handling these teams with ease. They're not winning.
We've lost the backup quarterbacks.
Yeah, well, we seem to do that every year, but that's here or there. That comes back to something we'll get into in a little while. But that's here or there. But yes, you're right, and that's what cost us, and the reason we're sitting in these 6 spots or these 2 spots or 3 spots instead of sitting at the 1 spot, which we should be. I mean, it's crazy to think that New England game, that 1 quarter, that 4th quarter, really just it changed everything. It really that night, that Sunday night, changed all. We'll see how it looks when the dust settles here, in the playoffs. I mean, are the Bills prepared to do something that hasn't been done since, I believe, the Steelers in 2011 or 2009 when they won 3 straight games on the road to get to a Super Bowl? I mean, can the Bills do that? It's gonna be tough, but if they do it, then it's a moot point. But it's going to be a very, very tall order to make that happen. Dog is still calling for Christian Wilkins, but we'll leave that alone. I can't believe I'm really surprised he's not signed. Are you kind of surprised by that?
Absolutely not. This man is new in the locker room. Listen, I think besides the locker room as well, I don't know if he's fully healed. I don't know if he's healthy because he just wouldn't go through the surgery, and the rehab process was just he hasn't been doing rehab. So if he's not doing rehab, if he's not doing clean-out procedures, if he's not doing anything like that, then what's the point? What's the point of a team going out there and trying to get him if he's not willing to put in the work to get healthy on the field? I just don't think he's healthy. I just don't think he's ready to play football.
Oops, sorry, I was muted. We do have the locker room to deal with this. I do agree with that too. I mean, you would think with all the leaders that we have on this roster, we can deal with one, call whatever you want. Maybe sometimes you need a little crazy in the locker room at times too, right? Especially this time of year, right? I mean, in terms of players that play with violence, players that play with physicality. That's what I'm really looking for on this team. Yeah, I mean, I love the great guys that physicality.
He's been doing some other things. He's been doing some other things in the locker room besides regular physicality.
Yes. Yeah, we don't. Yeah, that could be a problem too. Yeah, that is true. You don't want too much of that. So be careful what you wish for there. But I understand what Doug's saying in terms of talent. I would love to bring him in for sure. in that case, but I feel like we do have enough to get by, and especially if we could get Ed back. Do you think any chance Ed comes back next week, or do you think it's more
I
conference
think AFC championship. I think if we get there, I think it'll be the conference championship game.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. So let's hope we see Ed Oliver this season. So again, we're about 40 minutes in. I did see Whittle pop before, but he's not here yet, so he may come back in a bit. So we kind of did talk a little bit about the Josh press conference in terms of what he said. And again, those are some pretty eye-opening comments that he made, and kind of refreshing too. It's almost like he was listening to our spaces and our podcasts, right? It's almost like he was kind of tuning in. We were talking about, taking easy stuff, and those are the kind of games that we want to see. It's funny. A lot of fans talk about, oh, Josh is going to cook. Josh is going to cook in the playoffs. I've said this a million times, Derek. If you go back and look at Tom Brady's game logs in his career, right? A lot of his games are like 180 yards, 240. They're not, he has those games where he lights it up. Yes, no question about it. But a good amount of them, at least half or more, are pretty pedestrian, but he doesn't make mistakes. He gets it done, right? So that's why they advance a lot of times more than anything else. I mean, perfect example is when we beat the Ravens at home last year. Josh was pedestrian in that game, but he didn't make the mistakes, and that's why we advanced to the AFC title game last year. So
turnovers,
hopefully we learn from that. I need to get Dog in the locker room before this game, right about like 12 o'clock. They're coming out of the tunnel. I need him getting this team fired up, man. I think they'll be ready. I think they're ready to take some heads off coming on that field. I guarantee it. He gets me riled up every time, so he's ready. So I love it. So, and again, you're right. It's a weird matchup, right? This has been such a weird year, in so many ways, right? We've had injuries in and out. We've had guys in and out. I feel sometimes maybe this team gets bored. I don't know if you feel that as well. It's the seventh straight year. He gets bored, but again, we've put ourselves in this 6 seed, no home games. McDermott's never won a playoff game on the road in his Bills career. Not to say they can't do it, but it's harder. It's hard to win in the NFL, especially on the road. We've been the best home team this decade by far. So we may be getting Whittle here shortly. So I see him popping down somewhere. So once he gets settled in, we'll bring him in. So we're about 42 minutes in. So you said as well, the weather down there, we're really not sure what we're looking at, right? In terms of rain and things like that. I'm not too worried about that too much, unless it's like a teeming rain, but we know how Florida is. It can rain and then 15 minutes later it's sunny. So you just never know. It may just be a passing shower. It may not be anything sustained, or anything like that in that case. So at least it won't be icy or slick, in those terms. So we'll see if Whittle joins us. Oh, we had an NBA trade tonight. Trae Young to the Wizards. There you go. For all you NBA fans out there. Yep.
Shout out to Guru. Guru must be pretty happy.
Yeah, Guru's. Yeah, his ears are ringing somewhere. Yeah, that's a pretty interesting deal. So I know there were rumors about that. So just we're always keeping an eye on everything going on. So as we see if Whittle comes on board, any thoughts, any shot, the AFC is so interesting in that you have Houston's favorite at Pittsburgh, right? I could even see the Chargers possibly winning against New England. I mean, there's a lot of heads that say maybe no. I just want to get your thoughts on that. Do you possibly see a potential of an upset for the Chargers, and how do you feel about Houston Pittsburgh?
Yeah. Listen, it wouldn't be too surprising if Houston beats them. I actually think they're very closely related because Houston is more reliant on their defense. What's Houston reliant on? They're reliant on their defense. Pittsburgh's defense can create turnovers. Houston can go out there and create turnovers, of course. Pittsburgh can get after the quarterback. Houston can get after the quarterback. Houston's offense has been inconsistent. Pittsburgh's offense has been inconsistent. I actually think it's a more of an evenly matchup than I think what people kind of give credit for. I think people are just stuck on the streak with the fact that Houston's just got a lot more star power defensively and just the amount of games that they've won against the lead offenses. And you take a look at Pittsburgh's record, the fact that they're 9-8, it's just like, yeah, we're just going to choose Houston. But this wouldn't be surprising at all to me. if Pittsburgh wins. Listen, you're playing at home. You're playing in a cold environment. Houston is mostly an indoor football team. I don't know what CJ Stroud. I mean, the last time we saw CJ Stroud play in the cold, he was crap against the Chiefs. So you're playing in a colder environment. Pittsburgh's motivated. They haven't won a playoff game in God knows how long.
Yep.
And so I could see that potentially being upset. Again, would probably choose Houston because I trust CJ Stroud and I trust the receivers more than I do Pittsburgh, but they're also getting DK Metcalf back, right? They're getting DK Metcalf back, and I think they desperately missed him. And so, listen, I would not be as shocked at all if Pittsburgh wins that game against Houston. The Chargers game I would be, because I think the Patriots, they're getting stronger, they're getting a lot more depth. I think their D line is one of their biggest strengths of their team. The efficiency of how New England plays is really good. The Chargers are a well-coached football team, very solid defense, but the Chargers offensive line is it's too banged up. One thing we know about the Patriots, they're very disciplined. They can get after the quarterback extremely well. We all know it's primarily a man coverage-based team, so I will be shocked if the Patriots lose that game against the Chargers. I mean, well, first of all, I'll be happy for me. It'll be hilarious if the Patriots lose that game, but I expect the Patriots.
Yeah, that would be something. I agree with you. Yeah, I'm with you on that, and I really think I want to bring up Whittle here. He is in the background. Let me see if I can get him on here. Plus, I got to change the layout here. I see him somewhere back there, but I am also.
I'm here, guys. I'm in the car right now.
What's going on?
Man? Today was my daughter's birthday, so we just did like a family dinner and all that for her. So I'm actually on my way back now, but.
Great. Yeah. Okay. Don't mind me as I try to change the layouts here a little bit. So I think we have one for 4, right? Oh, that's a little bit better. So I'm going to change some of the backgrounds here as well. I'm actually going to remove the overlay. So there we go. So anyway, so if you're at home, you'll see a much different layout here watching us. So so good to hear. So happy birthday to your daughter. I'm glad that went well. And, we've just been, setting the table here for the Jaguars game. In terms of, kind of going through some of the matchups, some of the key things, kind of touching a little bit on some of the other AFC matchups. Dog says hello to you. That's my guy. Happy New Year to you.
What's going on, dog? Hey, so I did go back and I watched the Jags against the Broncos. And I thought the Broncos were able to move the football pretty well. I mean, they really have a ton of trouble moving the football outside of, Bo Nix's limitations. I saw early on in that game him go to the back shoulder boundary throw to Cortland Sutton. He took a couple shots downfield. He had a beautiful throw to Cortland Sutton out of the slot, matched up against Jerry and Jones. They were able to run the football with RJ Harvey. I mean, it was really, really, there were some really, really big holes. And I wanted to watch, them play a team like the Broncos, because I think what the Broncos do well as far as their offensive line, they have a mobile quarterback as well. Those are some of the same things that we boast in Buffalo. Having Josh Allen, the mobile quarterback, obviously Josh is a lot better than Bo Nix, but I mean some of the run concepts, shotgun, outside zone, they were pulling their tackle getting to the second level. I mean, those are some of the things that Joe Brady's run scheme was based off of when he took over for Ken Dorsey in 23. So I think this is going to give I think the Bills will be able to run from the gun, which is going to greatly increase the comfortability of Josh Allen, because he loves he'd rather be in the shotgun than be on the center. And for the most part, the Jags want to stay in. They don't want to crowd the line. They don't want to crowd the box. But when they do, their safeties are the extra guys. So I mean that that opens up possibilities for a bunch of things. You're going to get one-on-ones on the boundary now with a guy like Cooks, potentially one-on-one with Kincaid at a corner that you can take advantage of using his size. Dawson Knox on a leak out against a corner or a linebacker. I mean, those are advantages for the Bills. Also, I don't know if Palmer plays because of the ankle. I'm sure he probably will, but if he doesn't, you could have a Keon Coleman and Gabe Davis. I think this could be a big time game for Gabe, because if they try to beat pressure, I don't believe that Montag Brown and Greg Newsome are going to do enough. I don't think that either one of those guys are good enough to eliminate Gabe from the game. Gabe does an excellent job of using his size to stack corners, and once he gets on top of a corner, that's pretty much it. It's just up to Josh to deliver a good ball. I think those opportunities are going to present themselves because we will be. I think we're going to have a success running the football again. Those guys are running out of light boxes. I mean, they're trying to defend a run out of a light box. The Broncos ran a good amount of 11 personnel in that game, and they match. The Jacksonville Jaguars believe that they can match that personnel and still be effective against the run. That's where the guys up front have to show them better than we can tell. If we come out in 11, James Cook has to be effective running the football. If he's effective running the football, we're going to get nosy safeties, and we're going to get opportunities for explosives. Because ultimately, that's what the Jacksonville Jaguars want to do. Want to limit your explosives. They want to take away your big plays downfield. They want to keep everything in front of them, come up and tackle, and force you to run a bunch of plays and hope that you make a mistake. So I don't know. Did you guys talk about Josh Allen's press conference yet?
A little bit, yeah. But did you have any? You want to interject some thoughts on that in terms of?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been talking, me and you, Brian, about pretty much all season about Josh Allen making better decisions. Jarek, you and I have talked about it as well. We've had arguments with other members of Bills Mafia about how much blame do we place on Josh Allen for some of these losses that we've taken over this season. Number one, first one that comes to my mind is Atlanta. I was at the game in Atlanta. Josh Allen there were a bunch of options for him to just get rid of the football a lot faster, and that was the way to beat the blitz. But with him holding on to the football, it led to a lot of negative plays, multiple turnovers. We ended up losing that game by, what do we lose by 3 or something like that? Yeah. So I mean, it's that's the game that sticks out. Is that Atlanta game? If Josh takes the check down, he throws the ball underneath, takes the guys that are the easy dump offs, allow those guys, your skill position guys, to get yards after the catch. You stay out of those long down situations where teams can just pin back their rears and go after you. So Josh comes out and he says, Coach Brady had him self-scout his play over the season, and he said the one thing that exercise showed him was that he left a lot of plays on the field. There were a lot of instances where his decision making could have and should have been better, and that would have led to different outcomes from certain plays. Against Philly, play action, roll out right. You have Jackson Hall's immediately in the flat. It's 2nd and 3. If you dump that ball out right there, that kid can catch the football, turn upfield. He probably doesn't score, but we have 1st and goal, and we have an opportunity with the defending champs in our building on the ropes by giving up the first score. You get that whole crowd behind you. It was a Sunday night. It was a Sunday afternoon game. The weather was terrible. That's a game you got to jump on your opponent and get them out of the way. And that turnover, Josh doesn't take the wide open guy. Josh that ends up leading to a turnover, leads to a fumble that gives the Eagles the ball at our 40-yard line, and it leads to a touchdown. And we lost that game by 1 point. There were too many instances this year like that. I'm glad that Joe Brady sat down with Josh. Josh was able to look at his play and analyze it and say, I can't play like this if we're gonna win 4 straight games. He understands that. I saw the look in his eye, like the way he looked when they asked him, like, all right, well, after you've done that, what do you think? He says, no, we just need to take care of the football. If we take care of the football and prioritize getting points, ending every drive in a kick, we're going to be successful. And that look in his eye was the look that his facial expression, the way he looked, it reminded me of how he looked when the Jets were coming out of the locker room with the boombox last year.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I like that look. We need more angry Josh or focused Josh.
Yeah. So right, and I just feel like this is going to be a game where Josh is going to remind everyone of who he is and who these Buffalo Bills are. I think that there's been I think people have looked at the way the Bills played against the Eagles, and because that's so recent, they forget how good the Bills were in the second half of that game against the Patriots. They forget about how good the Bills have looked in certain spots and how explosive this offense can be even without elite level weapons. So yes, the Jags have been on the run. Yes, they did a great job in beating quarterbacks like Riley Leonard and not Riley Leonard, I'm sorry, 45-year-old grandpa, Phillip Rivers. They did a great job of beating Brady Cook with the Jets. They did a great job of beating rookie, Cam Ward. And when he was out, whoever the backup is there, I mean, yeah, good job, guys. Like you beat up on you took advantage of what was in front of you. That's a great job. Josh Allen is not that. The Buffalo Bills are not that. And I feel like people are not taking into consideration how well the defense has played over the last 6 weeks. You hold Saquon Barkley under what was it? What do you have? 68 yards, I think it was. You hold Saquon Barkley. You hold Saquon Barkley under 70 yards. I mean, you basically shut out the Patriots in the second half in their building. And I mean, all of that goes away because the Jags have looked good. I think the Bills defense is going to take this. I think the Bills defense is going to play well. Non-chief opponents, the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs, defensively give up under 19 points a game. You can look that up. You can check my numbers if you don't believe it. If it's not Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, and the rest of those guys, you may not get to 20. So I think the Bills will look the part. They'll play well defensively. I think Trevor Lawrence is a quarterback who can be a game changer. He can really light you up, and you could be in for a long day playing against Trevor Lawrence. Or Trevor Lawrence can give you a couple. He can give you a turnover or two. And I think Josh Allen is so laser focused on not turning the football over. I think this team is so laser focused on taking care of the football that I think that they will play well. I don't think that they will give up. I don't think that they'll give up I don't think they'll give up the football. I think they'll focus on making sure every drive ends with a kick. And I think the Bills have a good chance to jump all over the Jags and make this a baseball cap, fourth quarter, 5 minutes remaining type of situation. Like I really, really like the more I watch the Jags play against a good team, the size of the holes that RJ Harvey was running through, yeah, like you give Cook some of those looks. Those are touchdowns. They're touchdowns. So,
yep. So
you know,
even though Jacksonville is I think they're fourth DVOA against the run. A friend of mine pointed out they've the least amount of attempts against them in the league running the ball as well. So not a lot of teams really tested that run defense. I mean,
They haven't played against a lot of good Russian teams.
So do you both feel that we can exploit that? So even though their rankings are high, the eye test and what you see, it's just maybe from a lack of rushes against them that kind of propped up their numbers against the run. Like we should be successful with our maybe top one offensive line in the league, and now reigning rushing champion James Cook. By the way, it's shout out to James Cook for winning that title. So we feel confident in that case that we should be able to run the ball. Yeah, maybe James Cook doesn't light it for 150 this week, but maybe give us 90. Can we have that kind of game?
I absolutely think that the Bills are gonna have success running the football with James Cook and Ray Davis. I think both backs will have plenty. I think both backs will have a very solid game against the Jags. I'm trying to be very respectful, and I don't want to disrespect the opponent or act like they're nothing or I'm overlooking them, because this point is the playoffs. Every team that's still playing this weekend, that's a good team. So I don't want to disrespect them, but from what I saw, listen, if you give James Cook or Ray Davis the type of holes that they were given to RJ Harvey, those guys are like, James Cook's going to score. He's going to score. And I just feel like even if we go 12 personnel, because we throw the football to the tight end so well, that's going to put Jacksonville in a predicament where they may want to match personnel by having more linebackers going base 4-3, but at the same time you want to be able to stay sound in coverage and not give up explosives.
Yeah.
So they may play our 12 personnel sets in nickel. And if they do, we got to take advantage. We got to take full advantage of that and run the football. I don't know, Jarek, if you have anything you want to add to that.
I mean, we talked. I mean, they're a gap penetrating team, dude. Like they don't have natural two gappers. They just ask their defensive tackles to just slant, cross these guys' faces, penetrate. Like they're not. Like they're not, like, I mean, can they play gap sound? Absolutely, they can. They can, but it's, again, these are. Eric Armstead has been asked more to penetrate than anything. I think their other defensive tackle, Maven, has been more of the guy that's kind of holding up the line and trying to free up, trying to keep the linebackers clean. I think that's one thing they've done a really good job at is trying to go out there and keep those linebackers clean. But I mean, against our offensive line it's a question because we have guys that can climb and get to the second level. We have guys out there that we have the continuity. For the most part, we can, if we're creating lanes, and I think our running backs have the advantage against their linebackers in terms of making them miss. Now, again, Jacksonville, they're a really well-sound tackling football team. Like get Devin and their other linebacker, Oleg, like he's really good. I think secondary-wise, they do bring those safeties down, and they can do a really good job in terms of making those sound tackles. But I think a very underrated aspect about our blocking is our receivers. As much as we crap on these receivers, one thing we can't crap on is their ability to block. They're big, they're physical. Keon Coleman, I would like to see Keon Coleman play just because of his ability to block. He's a willing blocker. He's someone that's willing to drive you to the dirt. Or at least so that's why for me personally, I think this is a game where Josh Allen, he doesn't have to have a superhero game. He doesn't have to throw for 220, 30 yards in order for him to win. This is a game managing style of football game. And I think the question for Josh is, can he play that style? Can he take the easier things underneath? Can he take can he not have his eyes down the field all the time and just go and just take what's in front of him? Because I think that's exactly what's going to take to beat this team, honestly. And we've seen him against the Denver Broncos last year in the wildcard game play this style. We've seen him against the Baltimore Ravens play that style. We know he's got the capability of doing it, but it's like, we talked about earlier, Beyond, it's like he's bored. Like he's bored of the offense and he's trying to do too much than what he actually shouldn't have. I hope that, with the less, with watching the film with Joe Brady and doing the self-evaluation that, he's like, you know what, I got to play a different style of football in order for us to kind of get there. Because I think that's what you should do against Jacksonville. Because I'm confident that this defense, they will not be fooled with anything that Trevor Lawrence does. Yes, they're going to go out there and be aggressive. Yes, they're going to go out there and take deep shots. But I keep saying it, if we limit Jacksonville's yards per carry, which I think, ironically enough, the one aspect that I think Buffalo's weakness was their run defense, more particularly the defensive line. I think you make an argument it's a strength. May not be the best penetrating pass rushing team out there. Again, you're gonna have to create pressure. These guys are not. I'm not confident that we're going to beat Jacksonville with just our base 4 pressure. I think we're gonna have to create it, and I think by doing that, you're gonna have to add in different step variations, simulated pressures. You're gonna have to run a lot more exotic style, blitz, get the linebackers on there. Honestly, Dorian Williams, his reps should be increasing because every time he's on there and they're just sending him, he's causing disruption. He's taking 2 players out and he's freeing one up to get to the quarterback. So we got to continue to do that with him. So I think that's the only way to do it. But in order for you to do that, you have to limit their yards per carry. You have to limit the fact that don't be fooled by the fact that they utilize play action a lot. They're gonna try to they're gonna try to leak someone over the top, right? Like they're gonna go out here and take shots. But if our secondary is not fooled by that, if we're sticking with our coverage, with our particular coverage, which is not really man, but more particularly zone, and just finding ways to kind of create a lot of that pressure, then the game is over. Because I believe we can run the football on this team. I really think you can do it. And it's just for the most part, can the defense do its job in terms of limiting in terms of setting Jacksonville back into second and third long situations, which in turn, it's game over. Like I think the game plan is kind of simple for that aspect, but no, yeah, like Buffalo can run on Jacksonville. They absolutely can run on them. Their type of scheme and style kind of prevents them from doing it. I think another question again, Joe Brady, bro, don't go away from the numbers. Like just don't. Like if the Falcons are, let's just say they're getting a lot of disruption, they're causing a lot of gap penetration. Don't just stop running the football. Because we did that against the Falcons, which cost us a loss. We did that against the Dolphins, which I think you can make an argument kind of cost us that loss. And like we just do it way too many times in situations where we shouldn't really do have. Yes, Jacksonville statistically is a top rushing defense, but their scheme and their type of style that they run is more suited for Buffalo. It's more favorite for Buffalo's advantage. So this is a game that, quite honestly, your back should be having 30+ carries. Josh Allen should be throwing the ball less than 25 times. And just let your defense go out there and work. And I think we won this game easily.
This comment, I wanted to put this comment up here, and I want to put this for Whittle because Whittle, I know, mentioned this from Dog. Play the same game we played against KC. And I know you mentioned, Whittle, about Josh KC mode was that one particular game.
Yeah, he was 23-28. He was 23-28. I think he had like 270 yards or something like that. Couple of touchdowns. Nothing too crazy. He didn't throw a bunch of ball. He didn't throw the ball downfield a ton. I mean, it was a very efficient game, and I feel like this is the same type of game you need. Like he needs to have a similar performance against the Jags, and I think if he does do that, the Jaguars will get a little more aggressive. They will get a little more desperate and try to force the issue because when he plays that way, we're going to score points. So, Trevor Lawrence can be had on the blitz. He can be had by doing different things. Like he said, the things that Buffalo does defensively, it hasn't really changed in 5 years, but they disguise it. They disguise it very well. And I think that's exactly what you need to do. I watched the Denver game. I watched those guys defensively really make like Trevor Lawrence, go through his progressions and find somebody, especially on third downs, So if we can do that, we can get off the field. And if we're getting off the field and we're still putting up points, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown, and that's really going to open things up later on defensively. I mean, that's really going to open things up offensively for us because they're going to have to do things defensively that they may not want to do, which is be more aggressive, send extra pressure, and try to force a mistake out of this offense. And when that happens, you have two guys on the outside on this roster who can and will win in those one-on-one situations. Gabe Davis, who's proven it, in his first stint with us over the first 4 years of his career, and Brandon Cooks in this limited amount of time. We've seen him beat everybody. He's beat Quinyon Mitchell. He's beaten pick the corner from the what game was that? Christian Gonzalez, when he had the deep cross where he bobbled it and ended up going out of bounds. I don't know if that was Gonzalez. That might have been Carlton Davis, but it was one of them. One of those really good corners. So the plays are there. They can be made. You just have to get them out of what they want. You just have to get Jacksonville out of what they want to do, which is sit back and play zone, rush with 4, and force you to make a mistake by running a bunch of plays.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. So we are about an hour and 11 minutes in here, folks. So maybe it's time to move to that time, right? We could go through wild card picks, overall, and also go through the picks for this Bills Jags game. So if you're in our comments here, want to give a shout out to everyone in the comments. Dog, as always, Steve as well. We had some others. Dave, good to see you as well. So I just want to give a shout out to everyone in there. So we could go through. Do you want to start with the Bills game, or you want to do some rapid fire of the other games? Do you have any thoughts on some of the other wild card games?
Yeah, I'll just go really quickly. I'm almost home. So, the games. I'll start with the AFC. Chargers, Patriots. I do think that the Patriots have played really well. I don't know that they faced a defense like the Chargers and what the Chargers are going to be able to do. They have 3 guys up front that can get after the quarterback extremely well, and they work well together so far. The secondary has played fine. I know they have some injuries at linebacker. I'm not sure if Dion Henley will be available for this game, but the Chargers got a lot of weapons too. I mean, yes, they don't have the offensive line play, but at the same time, like the Patriots don't really rush the passer at a high clip either. They're not getting a ton of sacks. So I think Herbert should be able to get the ball out to their weapons. Marcus Jones versus Lad McConkey is going to be something that I'm looking forward to watching. But I'm actually gonna say this is a field goal game, and I'm gonna give the edge to the home team. But I really think this game could go either way. But I think this game ends in a field goal. I think the game ends up being 31-28, 31-29, something like that. And I think the Patriots end up getting the W. Our game, the Bills Jags. I got the Bills. I think it's 33-20. I think that we are efficient, and I think that we'll play efficient football, and when we are efficient, we score points at a very, very efficient clip. I do think that we'll be able to run the football. I do think that that's going to open things up for play action. I think Josh is going to be extremely comfortable in the shotgun and, really able to pick his spots. And because they run zone, Josh has been very good against zone. I think his on-target throw against zone is like 83 or 84% or something like that. Yeah. Really, really high. So I think he's going to be able to sit back and pick his spot and really have a good game. Thank God Kincaid is back. We score, I think it's 7 more points or whatever when Kincaid's on the field. So having a full complement of his pass catchers, I think is going to be is going to help out a lot. I like the Jags. This is a terrible draw. I think both of these teams are really good and worthy to have a playoff, a long run in this playoffs, but, there can only be one. I like what the Jags do. I just like I like what we have a little bit better. Like, we can go man to man with those guys on the outside. I think Benford and Trey White, I think those guys will be able to handle themselves against their corners. I'm anxious to see what this pass rush looks like against Jacksonville's offensive line. I know that offensive line has played well, but these young guys are going to play. Deion Walker is playing. TJ Sanders is going to play. And with Jordan Phillips going to the IR, Fidarian Mathis will be playing. He will be getting a good amount of snaps. I'm happy about that. I think those guys bring a ton of juice. They're going to allow these guys on the outside to kind of pin their ears back, because they're gonna push the pocket and be disruptive up front. So 33-20 Buffalo over the Jags. And Pittsburgh, Houston. I'm actually gonna say Pittsburgh wins. I think the difference, because I was listening to what Jerix was saying about all of these similarities between the two teams, and he's right. But I think the difference is, how is the quarterback going to perform under the bright lights in a pressure situation? I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers every single time. DK missing the last 2 games of the season. I'm sure he is anxious to come in and do something. I think you could see a big shot to him at some point during the game. The dude is built like an action figure, so I could see a big shot to him at some point during this game, and just them able to score 20. I think it's 23-13. The Steelers over the Texans. On the other side of the bracket, I'll start with the Rams and the Panthers. I think the Rams are going to absolutely destroy them. I think the Rams win. I think it's 38-9, 38 to,
Wow.
15, something like that. I do like Rico Dowdle for a touchdown, because I do think that they will run the football. I do think that they can run the football against the Rams. But they just don't have enough. And I think, this is the playoffs, man. Matthew Stafford's been there. This is an experienced team, experienced staff. I think the offense will be fine. So I got them putting up 35, 38 points to about 15. Eagles and 49ers. I'd love to pick the 49ers. I just think the Eagles rise to the occasion. Defensively, they do enough. And defensively, I thought, had the 49ers gone out and put up a better fight against Seattle, I probably would pick them. But, the way that they got manhandled by that Seattle defense, that to me is like, I can't pick them over a defense that I think is better. I think Philly's defense is better than Seattle's. So I'm going to go with Philly in that game. I don't think it's a high scoring game. I think it's 24 to 16, something like that. Brock Purdy's turned the ball over a ton this year, a ton. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm siding with Philly, and they're at home. It's so tough to play there. And then the last game, man, I got Packers over the Bears. I'm going to take the Packers over the Bears. This has been a weird year. At the beginning of the year, there's no way you thought the Packers would be going on the road to play the Chicago Bears in the playoffs, and Detroit was home. So I think this has been just like a weird year. And I think that Jordan Love having sat out the last couple of games, they're getting Christian Watson back this game. Trayvon Diggs is there. I think he'll play Sunday. That's going to help in an area where they've had struggles, which is boundary corner. I just think Jordan Love has one of those games where, he kind of puts the cape on and turns into an Avenger. And I just don't know if that young Chicago team is ready for this level of playoff football. Jordan Love, to me, is like right on the outside of the top 5 when he's, and I mean, like when he's on, he is extremely difficult to deal with. So those are my picks for wild card weekend. I got the Packers taking out the the Bears in Chicago.
All right, so Whittle going with the 7-2 upset, which is very rare in this new format. So, I mean, I could go rapid fire here, and then Jarek, you'll close us out for this. I'll go rapid fire in these games. NFC, I'm going to agree with Whittle about the Packers. I've been going back and forth on this, thinking that the Bears, are ready, but I'm going to go with the experience. I'm going to go with LaFleur. I think he's one of our underrated coaches in the league. They have a lot of experience in this role. They've been the 17 3 years in a row, which is interesting. But they came very close to beating Eagles last year. They are a little banged up. That concerns me, but I think the Packers get it done by, let's say, 6. I agree, maybe 27-21, something like that. I think the Eagles manhandle the 49ers. I think they get it done. I think this is where the Eagles turn it on a little bit against a 49er team that has a lot of injuries. I mean, incredible coach. I mean, Shanahan's well coached. But I agree with Whittle. Too many turnover. Purdy's way too prone to turnovers. I think the Eagles win by 10. Rams win by 14. Maybe the Panthers stick around a little bit, make it somewhat interesting in half, but I think the Rams pull away and the Panthers get their participation. Good job making the playoffs. But at 8-9, they don't really belong in this dance. But I digress. But they are here. But we'll go with that. So Rams, Packers, Eagles advance in the NFC. AFC, I'm going to go a little step further on you, Whittle, on this one. I'm calling a big upset here. I'm calling the LA Chargers to win in New England this weekend. I think, again, Harbaugh's a guy, where these teams are kind of built for this. I like the running backs. I like Hampton a lot. I know their line hasn't been great. I think he'll be effective. I think the Chargers defense is very underrated. I agree. I think they can cause problems for May. And I just have this odd feeling that the Chargers find a way to pull off another. So you'll have 2 7-2 upsets from my book. And in terms of Houston-Pittsburgh, I'm going to go against you on this one, Whittle. I'm going to take Houston to win by 10. I think Houston is ready for this. I know Stroud is a Southern Cal kid. He's from Rancho Cucamonga, not used to playing in the elements, but he was good at Kansas City this year when it was extremely cold. I believe. I think Houston's ready. I think Pittsburgh's going to struggle to move the ball in this game. And I just think Houston has a lot of mojo going on. I'm hoping Pittsburgh wins this game, to be honest with you guys. I'd like to get them out of the playoffs for our purposes, but I think Houston is going to pull off a win, let's say 24-14 in Pittsburgh. As far as Buffalo goes, just to make it, short and sweet, listen, again, tons of pressure on this organization up and down. I think Jacksonville will play a solid game. I think Lawrence will have his moments. I think they'll get their points. But I think ultimately, I agree with Whittle. I like what I see out of Josh. I like that press conference. I like what I'm seeing. We do have some injury concerns without Hairston. We'll see if Ty Johnson is good to go. Hopefully he is as well. Kicking game. Hopefully the kicking game doesn't become a major factor in this game because that's where Jacksonville has an edge in that case. But I think the Bills win this game like 31-21. Something along those lines. Maybe we pull away late. I'm not sure if we'll see ball cap Josh to that extent. I hope so. But I think, and it's good to hear again that Josh's foot is as good as it's been in a while. So hopefully that will help as well. And I agree with Dog here. Maybe Josh will love that warm weather in Florida too. So that'll be a nice little perk for the Buffalo Bills this week, not to be playing in sub-freezing temperatures. So got Houston, Chargers, and the Bills, which would set up Buffalo and the Houston Texans next week. But we'll see what we're looking like after that. So those are my picks. And Jarek, you could close us out on the picks.
All right. So the AFC, I'm gonna go with the Patriots to beat the Chargers. The Chargers are just too beat up. That offensive line is too beat up. And the one constant over the last 2 times they played in the playoffs, the offensive line was beat up. And Justin Herbert has not played well in these playoffs. I think the Patriots, they're just getting healthier. The fact that they're getting Barmore and Milton Williams back, I think that's huge for them. New England has found a more consistent running attack. I like the fact that Ramondre Stevenson's getting more involved. I think he's getting more involved. Drake May has played really, really well. for this particular season. I think the Chargers are going to give them some trouble, but I got the Patriots winning that game in a blowout. I got the Patriots winning that game 34-17. Bills, Jaguars. I got the Bills. Give me the Bills to win this game by 10 points. Got the Bills win this game. I'm going to say 31-21. Just don't think. I think we've seen it all. I don't think the Jaguars are going to present anything that's shocking to this team. I do acknowledge the threat that I think the receiving core is going to be one of the most dangerous that I think we've seen this entire playoffs. But give me the Bills to win this game. I think we limit Travis Etienne's yards per carry. We force the Jaguars to play in an uncomfortable situation, and we force Trevor Lawrence to beat us, which results in him making a lot of mistakes. I trust Josh Allen more than I do Lawrence, so give me 31-21 Bills. Steelers, Texans. I'm with Wood. I'm taking the Steelers to win. I trust Aaron Rodgers more than I think I do at CJ Stroud. They're too close. Like, they're really, really similar to each other. I think the fact that they're playing in the cold. And I also think, too, they're a better running team than Houston. I think no one's really talking about that. They're a better rushing team than Houston. And I think the one thing that I think we can find out about Houston is that you can run on that team. And so I got the Steelers winning that game against the Texans. Low scoring affair. I got that game 13-10 Steelers.
Ooh, a little score. I think the under.
Low scoring team. Yep, yeah. NFC side, Packers, Bears. Give me the Bears. I'm taking the Bears to win. I can't trust Jordan Love. I just can't do it. Can't trust him. When he is on, that dude is a legit top 10 quarterback, maybe even further than that. But he's been too inconsistent for my liking. I think them losing Michael Parsons is really going to show his head in this football game. The Bears, in my opinion, I think the Bears have the best offense in football. Statistically, they may not say that. I think they do. They can run the football on anybody. Their offensive line scheme is similar to ours. They can throw the ball now. They're getting more consistent. Colston Loveland is starting to get more involved because, again, Ben Johnson has a more complex scheme, especially involving the tight ends. You're now starting to see him get more involved. You're starting to see Luther Burton getting involved now. DJ Moore, Roma Dunze. I think they have way too many weapons for Green Bay. I think Green Bay's been a little bit more consistent. Yes, they had a Trayvon Diggs, and I think that does help back there. But I think the Bears' ability to have a more consistent run game and the fact that the Packers have kind of regressed in that area, I'm taking the Bears to win that game against the Packers. Give me 37. Give me 37. I'll do 37-27 Bears, and then I am going to be rooting extremely hard for San Francisco to win every game. Every game. Because I know that if Buffalo plays San Francisco, they're winning the Super Bowl. So I'm going to be rooting extremely hard for San Francisco to win every game. But in my opinion, besides the Panthers, I think San Francisco is the weakest. I think their depth is going to show. Their lack of depth is going to show in this game. Philly's just more aggressive. They're more physical. We saw what San Francisco looks like against more physical football teams. Brock Purdy has been a turnover machine. You cannot do that against a team that knows how to force turnovers at a high clip. Give me the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game. I'm going to say in a blowout, but a low-scoring blowout. Give me 17-6 because we all know Jalen Hurts is going to be going for 100 yards for them to win. And then Panthers, Rams win 42-7. I'm not even going to go give you an explanation as to why. They had a nice
you and Whittle are just destroying the Panthers, man. I'm giving them at least 20
They're
points.
Not ready,
I'm not giving any.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. A lot of low-scoring games you have. So we're definitely on the opposite ends with Houston for sure. And the Chargers on the lone wolf there, and me and Whittle are on the Packers. So it'll be interesting. You were kind of right about the Bears. The Bears really are impressive. I guess with them, I'm just going with the experience. But again, I'm like 55% confident in that pick if I had to handicap it, right? So Bears are definitely going to be a very interesting watch in the NFC going forward. But anyway, so we are about at the end of our show. Any parting thoughts? Anyone going to the game this weekend? If you're in the group chat, I will not be heading out there for this one. I was tempted because I was thinking about going to Florida, which I have to, but I decided to pass on this one. How about you guys?
No, I'm not going. Those tickets are too expensive for me.
Yeah, they're crazy. Yeah.
My date, man. I can't do it.
Jacksonville. I mean, not used to seeing those kind of prices in Jacksonville for football games, but here we are. So I do expect the Bills to represent well at that game, maybe 30-40%. I'd be willing to bet. So we should see a lot of blue scattered in the crowd on Sunday. Whittle, any last thoughts?
Yeah, like Ty Johnson, being on the injury report kind of bums me out a little bit because you're playing against a team that wants to run a lot of zone. The check downs to the running back make so much sense, and Ty Johnson has a ton of juice after the catch. That's a big deal to monitor as the week goes on. And one more tidbit. I found out today that Mac Hollins didn't sign for $8.4 million a year. He signed for $8.4 million total. That's nearly 3 times what we're paying. We're paying Joshua Palmer nearly 3 times as much, and he's doing absolute. I'm sorry, I just wanted Mac Hollins back another year. And to see that we're paying. Mac Hollins made $5 million to go play with the Patriots, and we gave $12 million a year to Joshua Palmer. That just doesn't sit right with me, man. That's all I got.
Yeah. That's listen. And again, Brandon Beane's been an excellent GM, but again, we can't be afraid to call him out when he misses. I mean, he definitely missed on that. No question about it. Then we could have allocated some of that other money to some other positions as well.
You could have added another receiver if you wanted to. You could have added some sort of quality sort of receiver. It is what it is, man. Like it is what it is.
Yeah, but let's just hope we could get something out of Josh Palmer. I mean, all could be forgiven this time of year, as we know, right, Whittle? I mean, if we get Josh Palmer coming in, making a few big catches in some of these games late, all's good. We're not going to worry about the regular season. We're not going to worry about the ankle that's been bothering him a lot in terms of that. So this is a time where you can make it all up in the air, as they say. So. But I think, we're all in unison that we will advance past Jacksonville. Again, not to say it's not going to be an easy task, but, it's an excellent team down there in Jacksonville. So, but hopefully next week we are here to preview a divisional round matchup for the Bills. We'll see where they play. More than likely, Denver. Yeah, more than likely it'll be Denver. I'm going on a limb with the Chargers. I'm still hoping for that 6 versus 7.
One more thing. Shout out to my man Randy Hartman for the custom sweat hoodie. This is my dog. This is my dog. It's a picture of my old dog.
Oh, nice.
Sparky. Go Bills. Okay. Yeah. So if anybody's interested in having their dog on a hoodie, let me know, or hoodie or a t-shirt, let me know. I'll get you in contact with Randy. Him and his wife do a good job. And it wasn't even crazy expensive either. It was like $25-$30, something like that.
That's not bad at all. Yeah. That's really good this day and age.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's for sure. Well, that's pretty cool, Will. That's awesome. So again, Jarek, I want to thank you so much for coming on. We always love having you here on the pod. You bring it every single time. So Whittle and I can't thank you enough for that. And Whittle, always good to see you here. Glad you had a good night tonight, and we're back at it this year in 2026. So it's going to be hopefully a deep playoff run, and then we're going to have some awesome draft stuff and free agency stuff coming up after that. Hopefully we don't start talking about that for about another month plus, but I'll digress on that. But we'll see what comes our way coming forward. But that's all I had. Shout out the dog, Jan Sports in the building. Yep, I agree. Yep, yes, good to see you here. Yep, dog, always good to see you. Be ready for Sunday. I know dog is ready for war, as he always is, especially this time of year. So
yeah, he's ready for war, but are we ready for war? That's the question. That's the question.
Well, we're ready. Oh, we're ready. Oh, we're absolutely ready. I'm starting to rev up now. Now that we've had this pod, now I'm thinking about we're on the other side of the week. Definitely as we get closer, I'll be gearing up for this game. No question about it.
We better. I'll tell you that. We better do it. Otherwise, fans are going to be calling for heads. Heads.
And rightfully so. What? Rightfully so. I think at this point, let's just hope we don't have that kind of space like you said, Sunday night with 10,000 people in there.
10,000 people in space. Patriots fans, one of the Patriots fans we've never even seen before and heard before. It would be chaos.
Raven fans coming out everywhere, Bengals fans, Jet fans. Oh, it's just gonna be chaos.
Yeah.
It's gonna
probably this would be far worse than us losing to Cincinnati if we lose this weekend.
Without question. Yeah, without question. I think, no doubt about it. I mean, really, is it really anything less than a Super Bowl at this point, guys?
I just get to the Super Bowl. I mean, for me, my expectation is AFC Championship. That's my expectation. But just get to the dance. I mean, if you just get to the Super Bowl, I think a lot of people are like, okay, we can survive with McDermott. Of course, fans are not going to be happy because regardless if you may feel like you want to get there, when you get there and if you lose, you're going to be pissed off regardless of how you feel. But what you could say is we have a coach that's capable of us getting to the Super Bowl because we haven't gone there since he's been here, and we've been close so many times losing to Kansas City. That if you don't do it, I understand fans' standpoint was like, well, what's the excuse? And at some point, you can't just say Kansas City's in our way. You're gonna have to evaluate your roster. You're gonna have to evaluate your coaching staff and your front office is saying, are these the right people in place to get us where we want to get to? And if they're not, then these guys need to let go. And I know that people will be calling for Terry Pegula to step in and do something that he hasn't done in damn near a decade, which scares me to death.
And this is our first comment of the day on our pod, but I want to save it. How do you if the Bills make Super Bowl and lose? Now, I know a lot of us older fans, we remember the 4 losses, but I really don't I think it's kind of apples to oranges. There's 2 different eras. I mean, that's been 30 years now since the Bills have been in those Super Bowls. So yes, it would be painful, but winning the conference championship would be pretty awesome and take us, to another level. But if the Bills lose, Jared, just to leave you on this comment, we saw what Pegula did with the Sabres when they brought in an assistant general manager to kind of hover over the GM. You wonder if the Bills would do something, if he would do something similar with the Bills, where maybe if we moved off Joe Brady, maybe they bring in a Brian Dable as an OC to kind of be there just in case maybe the leash is short on a McDermott in those cases and he can make the switch, something like that. Who knows what they would do. In that case, so we'll see. Let's just hope we don't have to have that conversation. Let's just not even manifest that or put that into the universe. We'll just leave that alone. So, yeah. So anyway, we're not losing this week, dog. We are not losing this week. So we're not even talking L. We'll be back to preview next week at Denver. Or
in LA, or who would we play? We would play if the
Chargers. It could be Denver. It could be Denver, Houston, or Pittsburgh. Will be one of the 3 teams that we could play. Because if the Chargers win, then we play the winner of Houston, Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Because the Chargers are then the 7th seed, and they would automatically go to Denver.
Yeah. So we'll be playing. So yeah, who knows? We could be playing Pittsburgh.
Can you imagine that? Bills Pittsburgh 2nd round. That would be something. I'll tell you. That would be. I would imagine the networks are dying for that. CBS would love an Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen conference quarterfinal.
That's literally a passing of the torch game. That's a passing of the torch game right there.
That is a Sunday night 4:00 game waiting to happen right there, Derek. No question about it. That's the late game Sunday. That's like the feature game of the weekend. So that will be something. I still would rather avoid Houston. You bring up a good point though about their inability to stop the run. It's a little worse than I thought. So. But they are a hot team. They got a good coach. I mean, he's an excellent defensive mind, Ryan. So we'll see. I still think they're a little bit dangerous too, for different reasons than Jacksonville, but they have a similar feel to me.
Yep. I completely agree.
Well, hey, that's all I had. Again, want to thank you again for coming on, and let's get it done this weekend, and we will be back better than ever next week. And thank you, everyone. Go Bills.
Go Bills.